Silent Hill 2 Remake. The game no one wants. Or do they? When I posted my reaction for the Silent Hill 2 remake, I received a comment that said, "What the hell do you mean no one wants it? I do." Now, that got me thinking, are there actually some people out there looking forward to this game? I was under the impression that no one was looking forward to it, that everyone was pretty much thinking, we don't need this. We've got the original. We just need the original updated to modern PCs for modern consoles. We don't need a remake. But I took a look around. I took a look, especially on Reddit. I read a lot, and it turns out there are a lot of people really looking forward to it. So I would like to take a moment to ponder why. Why are people looking forward to this game? And why am I quite apprehensive about it? Let's find out. Firstly, we've really got to talk about Bloober Team. These are the developers in control of the upcoming Silent Hill 2. Now, when I was first told about the remake happening from a friend who had discovered the early leaks, I'm not gonna lie, I was not excited. I had all these thoughts that I'll touch more on later, such as, isn't this kind of redundant? But then the name Bloober Team came up, and I actually went, okay, who are they? After some research, it turned out the Bloober Team made some games I actually enjoyed. They made Layers of Fear, which was, well, I had a good enough time. I streamed it. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, and I don't remember very much about it now, except for a well-known clip of a baby doll little girl-like thing bouncing its head off a wall on repeat.
I'll get it. I can't even fucking imagine why you would have to do this.
Oh, and that it was a giant PT clone with its spooky lady ghost and repeated hallways. Then, they did Observer. Now, Observer I really enjoyed, but we could go as far as to say that's just because anything remotely resembling Blade Runner I am immediately going to love. And Observer certainly rips off Blade Runner, right down to having Rutger Hauer from the movie star in the game. But I really did like it and had a good time with Observation. I think it would be worth playing again with a more critical eye. Alas, then we have The Medium, a Silent Hill inspired game, right down to bringing in Silent Hill composer Akira Yamaoka for the soundtrack. Now, The Medium I have not played. I discovered yesterday that it's free on PS Plus, so I will be giving it a try for sure. It looks really good, and seems really interesting, but everything I've heard and everything I've read tells me that it might not be worth my time. Why is that? Because apparently the discussion of and the way they approach sensitive topics is very poor. I'm told they even go as far as victim blaming, and it's just not a good time for anyone. As I haven't played it yet, all I can say is that Silent Hill fans are not happy because Bloober do not have a good history with tackling difficult topics, which Silent Hill is full of. Bloober Team need to have a sensitive touch here and not offend people, which I think The Medium ended up doing. It also needs mentioning that Bloober, the team who copied PT, Silent Hill, and Blade Runner, went on to patent the double screen nightmare world mechanic used in The Medium so that no one else can ever use it without permission or a lawsuit. Nice. Still, what we can say is that Bloober Team are very good at putting on a good show. giving us a good presentation, let's say. They've done that here with the Silent Hill 2 remake. They gave us a beautiful looking trailer, and no one can deny that it does look beautiful. It does. It looks incredibly beautiful. It looks very next gen. But is that all it is? Is it just a beautiful looking trailer with no substance? I do think it's really important here to discuss the technical limitations that the original Team Silent faced. Part of what made Silent Hill 2 so great was the technical limitations they had at that time. Sure, the fog aesthetic was incredible and a work of genius that has become synonymous with the brand. But it was also a work of necessity. They needed to have that fog present because they couldn't show everything. They were working with the PlayStation 2 after all. But now we've reached this place with games where we're striving for realism. And realism doesn't really play with the imagination. When you can't see everything you want to see, your mind fills in the blanks for you. It creates a town, it creates a character. And I think the reason many of us have problems with movie adaptations of video games is because rarely does the director manage to fill in the gaps like our memory and imagination does. That's the problem here with Silent Hill 2. They're going for complete realism. They don't have those technical limitations anymore. And is it interesting? I personally don't think it is. I think it needs to be dirtier. I think it needs to be a little more vague. But that's not the generation we're in right now. We're in the realism generation. Is it going to work for Silent Hill? Only time will tell. Now, let's talk in a little more detail about the trailer itself. Well, we've seen some amazing looking graphics. You cannot deny that the graphics look stunning. However, and you knew there was going to be a however, as I mentioned earlier, they're really not gritty enough. They're not filthy enough. Everything's too clean. When you consider the themes in Silent Hill 2, it just doesn't make sense for everything to be so clean and sparkling. I know there's still time. I know more could be done. But I think this is just about what we're going to get. I think this is about the quality the game is going to be. And so for me, it isn't dark enough, it isn't grimy enough, and most importantly, it doesn't look scary. My personal experience is that Silent Hill 2 was a game where I would set out with the best intentions. I would turn off all my lights, would get my controller, and I'd be ready to go. But then a little bit in, I would turn on one small light, progress. Turn on a big light, progress. Hide under some blankets, progress. And then finally, give up, turn off the console, and hide under my blankets again. Because the game was just too scary to play for long periods of time. I don't get that from the trailer. Maybe I'm desensitized now, but I fear the remake simply lacks the tone and artistic direction of the original. Actually, did anyone watch the trailer and find themselves feeling a little bit disappointed? I know I'm not the only one who watched the beginning of the Silent Hill 2 remake trailer and went, oh my god, it's PT! They're actually doing Silent Hills! And then realize it's Silent Hill 2. Now, Silent Hill 2 isn't a disappointment in itself, I suppose. It's not sad that they're doing things with this game, but we fans are still so desperate for Silent Hills. We're still so caught up in the experience that PT gave us that it feels like a bit of a bummer to have had that thrown at us and for it to have just been... What? What were Konami trying to do here? Were they trying to do something cool? Were they trying to go, haha, psych? Or was it supposed to make fans excited? I really don't know, because it had the opposite effect of whatever it was they were trying to do. Unless pissing people off was their goal? If so, well done. Now, let's talk a little bit about the characters. James. We've got to start with James. Okay, he looks decent. I think we're all in agreement that these graphics do look good. But for me personally, he looks too soft, too gentle, and too kind. I always felt that James lacked emotion, which likely comes from the uncanny valley graphics and the surreal voice acting of the original. Either way, I think he spends a lot of the game lacking any real emotional moments outside of the occasional scene. But what the remake trailer showed us was a James who is very emotional, who is always crying and twisting his face in pain and distress. He seemed quite a weak character. Now, James is weak, don't get me wrong. James is very weak. But it takes the journey through the game for us as a player to understand that. The James we see in the trailer seems to lack any room for character development. And don't get me started on the scene with the mirror at the beginning of the game. I don't know what Bloober team were doing there, and fans are really not happy with how this scene was handled. Even the change in the position of the hand, the way his hand touches the side of his face versus kind of pulling down towards the front, it really gives a different vibe, a different meaning. Original James appears to disassociate from himself, while new James is just sad his wife died, I guess? Plus, a lot of people are unhappy because in the original game, it looks a little bit like James is looking at the player. He's not, says art director Masahiro Ito. He's looking at himself in the mirror. But the way the shadows are, it looks like he's looking at the player. Now, this is all a headcanon that fans have come up with, and it's not real, it's not the case. Still, just because it wasn't the intention when the game was made, doesn't mean that people don't have a right to be upset that it isn't included here. They could have very easily kept James's eyes more shadowed so that people could have still had that feeling that he was looking at the player, even though it doesn't really make sense in the context of the story. But they could have still left it in, for the fans. And it wouldn't be a video without talking about Mr. Silent Hill himself. Let's talk about Mr. Silent Hill himself. Pyramid Head. Did you know this is the game with Pyramid Head in it? Well, you do now because he's there at the end of the trailer, looking not scary, just to remind you. Showing the red pyramid thing in the trailer itself was a bad idea, because in the game, when you see him for the first time, assuming they stick with this appearance, he's just at the end of a corridor, behind a sort of caged off section of corridor, and he's just standing there. Your radio goes off, you can't get to him, he doesn't move. It's really creepy. But it's the first time you see him and you've got no idea who he is, or that he'll become a big deal. Now, I know at this point in time everyone knows who Pyramid Head is. But still, for the people who don't, for the people who are going to go into this remake fresh, it would have been really cool if they'd kept it a secret rather than putting it in the trailer. And I'm gonna say this again about the graphics. Pyramid Head is too clean. He's not filthy or rusty enough. He's not dirty enough. And he isn't very scary. Maybe we've just seen too much Pyramid Head at this point, since he's been in everything, and the original meaning behind his existence has been tainted. I would really, really love to be proved wrong. I really would love to see them make Pyramid Head super scary. And I would love to be scared by this game. As a sort of conclusion, I'd like to mention the Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition mod. This is a mod which enhances the original Silent Hill on PC. Now, I haven't played it myself. I think I might go and do so, just for the fun. But apparently it makes the game an incredibly improved experience on modern day PCs. So, we essentially already have the thing that we need. Silent Hill 2 made prettier for modern day systems. And no, the hard HD collection does not count. If you haven't played Silent Hill 2 yet, go and grab this mod and play it now. Something tells me the remake won't be anywhere near the same experience. And you don't want to have the chance of experiencing true horror genius taken away from you.